Hey, it's Nate with Pulse PEMF and the PulseCast live from the Biohacking Conference in Austin, Texas. And I'm joined by Jim and Jim Squared, I think is what you said, from BioCharger. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the PulseCast today.
Great to be here.
So how is the conference going so far? We're in day 3. How's it been treating you?
It's been nonstop, but fantastic.
It's a good nonstop, a good busy.
Absolutely.
And while you're walking around and viewing all this, I've noticed that there isn't much competition here. It's really like we're one mission, many voices. We're complementing each other, and that's so rare, especially in a conference or a trade show like this. It really feels like there's camaraderie, and we're all excited about. Yeah, we could live to 180 to 200. Why not? And these are the modalities that are going to make it happen. So, could you tell us
Sure.
about the origin story of BioCharger?
Sure. Well, for those that don't know what the BioCharger does, it actually activates your body's natural, or in some cases, reactivates your body's natural ability to heal and recover. And the way that it's doing that is through producing 4 energies that are, of which PEMF is one, that are both scientifically and medically backed to be as vital to our health and wellness as food and water. And unfortunately, due to our modern day lives, we're spending all our time inside, like 93% of our time indoors. Kids spend 7 minutes a day on average outside now. And the consequence is that, as you know, we're looking at this industry exploding. Next to AI, the global wellness industry is the fastest growing industry in the world. But during that same period of time, just in the last 5 years, chronic disease has doubled. It's gone up 50%.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And so when we kind of look at the root cause of that, it literally is modern life is, spending all our time inside. We're blocked from the natural energy sources, surrounded by toxins that we can't help but eat, drink, and breathe. No matter how hard we try,
Yep.
our bodies just don't have a fighting chance. And so what the BioCharger does is literally restores that raw material at the cellular level, that energy that you need for our bodies to generate and create new healthy cells. And kind of the orientation and the history started with Jim, 35 years ago.
35 years ago.
Been at it
Before there was a biohacking movement.
way before biohacking movement. So yeah, it was interesting times at that point. I mean, there was quite a bit of research starting to really become out there early 90s. And but when you look back into the early history, that's sort of how I got involved in the whole process. Was I started, I had a landscaping company while I was going through college. Started getting a little bit of alopecia, thinking it was fertilizers. Go to an organic farm convention. I learned about Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
So I began
That's
experimenting.
an interesting place to learn about Nikola Tesla.
That's exactly it. So I began experimenting in high voltage. And about a year later, I read a book called The Secret of Life by a guy named George Sikorsky, who had a device called the multi-wave oscillator that he had 20,000 systems worldwide. It was documented in the book, The Waves That Heal, benefits from doctors, universities, World Congress. So I began experimenting with my experience building Tesla coils on that design. And my first claim to fame was adding the gas tubes to it. That was what my first set of patents related to. And one of them was also mixing it with the early PAPIMI machine, which is really the
Yep.
predecessor
that.
to all this stuff that was out there.
That's right.
So I met Panos back in the 90s, and just seeing that technology and combining that type of thing. There's always that synergy that goes along with it. So.
Yes. I got to experience your technology a couple days ago for the first time, and I loved it. And it was captivating. Dakota did a great job of breaking down everything that it does. Could you explain the 4 parts of the BioCharger?
Sure. So the BioCharger produces 4 fields. There's an electric field, which has voltage. You have a magnetic field, or some people call PEMFs. Even though you may call you PEMF, I consider more the M of PEMF.
Okay.
Then you have radio frequencies and harmonics, and you have light. So each one has different functions. So the electric fields or the voltage really has an effect on the electroporation, causing the cells to absorb, to open up, bring in ion channels, ATP, mitochondrial function, gene expression. Everything is these signals moving in and out of your cells. They're doing it at different rates. They're actually doing it 10 billion times a second. One cell having different ion pathways opening and closing and moving things in and out.
It's amazing.
So as we age, that slows down, and that's the whole theory with Jerry Tennant talking about the healing is voltage. Is that voltage is the switch on, and then there's the relaxation time that varies for all different types of functions. And as you modulate at different frequencies, you begin to activate all these different cellular functions and improve upon it. So you have the effects of radio frequencies and harmonics that are now switches, but the voltage is what's turning everything off and on. The frequency is what controls the off side of it, which is an important part of it.
That's amazing. Now the gases, there's 6 different gases, is that correct?
Yeah.
And could you explain a little bit more about that?
So we wanted to include the visible light. So Lahovsky or yeah, Lahovsky's original work was the multi-wave oscillator. So I wanted to include that visible light component that really what we get in nature. So what really BioCharger is doing is mimicking nature. So in nature,
Mm,
you have most people don't realize it, but there are 8 million lightning strikes on a planet every day. It's
that's right.
100 every second, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each one's generating unique sets of hundreds of thousands of harmonics that span the entire electromagnetic spectrum: AM, FM, shortwave, longwave, UHF, VHF, all the way to visible light. Now, every other planet's doing the same thing. The sun, what we call solar flares, solar storms, are
Right?
nothing but atmospheric discharge that contributes to what we call cosmic rays. So we're exposed to all this natural energy. And what we believe is because we spend so much time indoors, and especially in buildings like this, you got rebar in the walls, you got rebar in the ceilings, you got it on the floor. It's just one big Faraday cage, and you're really not getting that natural energy, which is a vital part of it. But part of that is light. So you ever
Hmm.
wonder what causes that blue in the sky? The blue in the sky is a result of all these gases in the atmosphere, primarily oxygen and nitrogen, that get excited to fluorescent and produces thousands of different wavelengths in the infrared, far infrared, near infrared, visible light spectrum that's vital for our life. So having that natural energy, mimicking that natural energy by taking elemental gases and exciting them to fluorescent and producing those natural wavelengths that are unique to each type of gas. So we selected 6 different gases. We have mostly nobly inert gases that those are special gases.
Yes.
They're very balanced gases that you can ring them and you can see different spectrums of frequencies that they're emitting with it, and different wavelengths. That's why they have different colors and things like that.
I loved that aspect of it. It's captivating, especially when it's rolling through the different frequencies and then the light pattern changes. I really love that. Now, I only got to be there for about a 10-minute session, but I could feel a difference when I walked away from it. So, what are some of the stories of when people have used BioCharger and something dramatic has happened for them?
Sure. We've had people, I mean, all the time we get great results, and we're not a medical device, so but we support helping recovery from lots of chronic issues. Some of the things we've seen with an immediate result is we had somebody that had tinnitus
Mm.
and heard a constant ringing in their ears, and they were sitting there biocharging, actually doing a parasite recipe, and with a friend who happened to have a high white blood cell count, which sometimes indicates that you have parasites. So they're sitting, and as you know, you can have up to 6 people next to the biocharger. So they're just 2 friends having a conversation. The one with tinnitus felt a movement in her ear, and a parasite about an inch and a half long came out and fell on the floor. And
Oh my word.
yeah, well, you asked.
I did.
Um,
Oh no, I love these
but
stories.
the first words out of her mouth was, "My ears have stopped ringing." Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So we've seen amazing things like that. We have again, we're not a medical device, but we do a lot with Tony Robbins, and one of his followers purchased a biocharger and brought it home. He lives in Wisconsin, and the first thing his wife said is, "You're going to put that $16,000 popcorn machine in the office I just redesigned for you," and was not happy. 2 weeks later, she's diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and
Wow.
um, she decided, well, I might as well go try that popcorn machine. Coincidentally, 4 weeks later, tumor's gone, MRI clear, and now it's in their living room.
Now it's not tucked
Yeah,
away.
yeah, but we see lots of things. I mean, as you know, there's mold toxicity that we're
Yes.
really becoming aware of. We call them stacks, but one of the unique things, aside from the four energies and not having to physically touch it and being able to have a group around it at the same time, is we have this concept called recipes, which are essentially protocols of specific energies and the frequencies and the way we control to get a certain outcome. So we now have 1,400 recipes and growing, and every customer worldwide. So we have a cloud infrastructure. So we have now about 4,000 systems installed worldwide. And we're in 50 countries outside the US. But customer number one that took the risk with us 10 years ago, when we only had 10 recipes, now has access just like every other customer, and they've never paid for any of those upgrades. We continually enhance it, find new ways to use it to benefit, hopefully mankind.
That was one of the aspects of BioCharger that I love is that you can have people sitting around it. It almost fosters a wellness community kind of mindset,
Not
doesn't it?
almost. It
Yeah,
it
that's what we
does.
see, especially
So are there
so.
BioCharger parties where
Oh
people are like,
yeah.
come on, let's have a book club and we'll just sit around and talk?
There are. It's funny. There's what's the area down in Orlando? The Villages. So
Yes, I'm
villages
familiar
happen to
with that.
have a reputation, and
Yep,
it's a generally older population, but there's a lot of action. Let's just put it that way.
yep.
And so we have some customers down there that run grieving sessions because somebody's lost a loved one. It's nice to be able to come in. Well, now the grieving sessions, she's having to book 3 or 4 times a week because she's got 6 or 8 people. They all want to come back to the same, at the same time, and it's just kind of manifested into now it's kind of like the dating scene. So
Wow.
the collective piece, and as a business owner, one of the things that we see a lot in the wellness industry, and I know you do as well, is people get into this business because they want to help other people.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they don't think about the business model as clearly as they should before they do that. There's a lot of, despite all the growth in this industry, there's a lot of wellness businesses that are really struggling. And what we found is that the biocharger, if you have a membership based program and you offer the biocharger, it helps on retention. It brings in a new member base. There's a lot of benefits to it, but there's about 8 different ways to monetize it, and there's almost zero operating costs. So, we have wellness businesses that we're on the brink that are now healthy themselves while they're getting other people healthy as a result of the biocharger. And a big part of that is that collective healing, that social, we're social beings, and that to
Yes.
have that connectedness, and they associate that back to the business. And I'll take it a step further. 50% of our sales come from referrals from existing clients. And so, with if you're a business client or an individual, we give everybody a unique QR code. So when somebody, a friend or a patient or a client wants to know more, they can scan the QR code, learn as much as they want about the biocharger, and should they ever buy a biocharger from that point forward, we give a referral fee and credit back to that business because they were the origin of that source. So we've
It's
given
brilliant.
out, we've written over $1 million in referral fees, and
Wow.
so every way we can, um, we try and help businesses be successful. And we have what we call the biocharger optimization platform, which is a whole online way to do marketing. So basically, if you're a business like a turnkey business in a box, that something we've worked really hard on. So it helps those wellness businesses launch the biocharger successfully.
That's brilliant. Now, how long is a session generally?
Average sessions 12 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Um, when we one of the things that we're seeing is with people that have, for instance, a lot of toxicity or mold or Lyme or kind of you name it, we'll set up a way that they can do it 2 to 3 times a week for 4 weeks. And 2 weeks into it, they're feeling a difference. 4 weeks into it, it's like they're a new person. They get their old normal back. And when you do things like that, other people want to do the same thing. So it just kind of that's an attraction. That's one of the reasons that we're growing as quickly as we are. You get great results, people talk about it.
That's absolutely true. Word of mouth is by far the the most effective marketing strategy.
It is.
And now we talked about duration, and you just mentioned frequency, how often you should do it on a
Mhm.
weekly basis. Is this something that you're finding more people are putting in their homes, or is this mostly in a wellness center, biohacking center kind of community?
That's a great question. We have an awesome sales team. They spend 100% of their outbound sales effort on businesses because, there's a lot of wellness businesses that can use BioCharger. Still, 60% of our client base are individuals that either found out about it through a business or met us at one of these shows and wanted to bring it home for their family. Um, as much as we keep pushing and we're growing like crazy, but that ratio stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna hope that continues.
Yes.
But it's really fun to see people that now, it used to be the breakfast table, the family would get together, and now everybody's on their phone. They don't have breakfast together. This is a way for a family to start the day. Put your phone down because the biocharger is going to mess it up if you don't.
Right.
It won't damage it, but
You
it'll
can't
make it
use
hard
it.
to use. Yeah, make it hard to use.
Which actually, that's reason enough to put it on the dinner
It
table.
is. Yeah. Even if it doesn't do anything, just 10 minutes a day without your damn phone, you're going to be better off.
Right.
But to have a way to start the day with your family, and
Yeah.
everybody kind of that collective healing, it's like the modern day campfire. And
Love that.
yeah,
I love that.
and the other thing is, and I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, is corporations are now realizing, they want people to come back to work. Putting a Peloton in there is not going to do it anymore. So they're looking at longevity and recovery and things like that. And the biocharge is a natural. And we're seeing a lot of demand pull into that corporate wellness, and now they start having meetings around it. Coincidentally, absenteeism goes down, productivity goes up, people get along better,
Imagine
ideas
that.
get more creative. So
It
if you're a
actually gives
business,
some value for healthcare to them, So even if you gave
yeah,
them paid all their insurance costs, it's still shitty insurance.
That's exactly
The
right. Yeah.
coverage is terrible.
Yeah, and I noticed just with I think it was the 10 or 12-minute session that I got, I could feel that mental clarity and that boost. So I could see how brilliant that would be for a company to put that in the break room and let people go and do a 12-minute
oh yeah,
session. I mean, my goodness, that could transform productivity
Sure.
in a business.
it
Now,
does.
how often do they have to change out the gas tubes or maintenance? What does that look like?
The only maintenance, so ongoing cost. If you're using it full time every day, 5 or 6 days a week, your energy costs might be $20 to $30 incremental cost. The
That's
only consumable are the tubes that you mentioned. And 2 years ago, we got a new supplier who used our specific design. And now the average set of tubes lasts 3 to 4 years.
wow.
And you don't have to replace a whole set. If one goes out, you go on our website, replace that specific gas. It's like $60, so it's almost no operational costs. And in wellness businesses, where a lot of the other therapies that we see are kind of have to have a technician or at least somebody to work with them. The biocharge just kind of set it and forget it. So
Amazing.
it lowers your overhead, increase your productivity. If you have a wellness business, a great overflow,
Hmm.
so people
Yep.
come in early or come in late. I'll go
That's
sit down and do a
that's a
session.
great point. Yeah.
The other thing we've seen is this is kind of clever. People now replace the front desk. So you're just walking into a gym or a wellness center and you see the desks over there and the sales guys are there trying to sell you a membership. Now you walk in and they have the biocharger front and center. And,
Hmm.
would you like to know more about the membership while we try one of our modalities called the biocharger? The
Yes.
close rate doubles. And when you sit down with somebody next to the biocharger and we have certain recipes that we use, and it'll cost you for me to tell you what those recipes are. Oh,
Right.
actually, we have one called Abundance, and we typically run that,
And it
and
works.
it's pretty amazing. Yeah, and that's how me say this is coming from our customers.
Well, there's something to be said. I mean, there's so much with quantum physics, and we're vibrational beings, so it makes so much sense because you're working on so many wavelengths with that.
Sure.
I loved the experience. Every time I walk by the booth and I'm seeing everybody around there, you almost feel like you're left out. Like, you're
Yeah,
like, I want to go sit down with you guys.
yeah,
It does create that invitation to be included.
yeah,
And oh man, but that is brilliant. Setting that in the front and closing the deal
yeah.
around a biocharger. So you're covering home users, businesses, gyms. You've talked about even businesses bringing it into the break room. what does the next few years look like for BioCharger as you continue to develop? And I ask that because we are at the forefront of and the frontier of the wellness and biohacking revolution. I'm sure you're already dreaming ahead. What do the next few years look like for BioCharger?
Well, first of all, the tide's rising, and the 5 years ago, and I'm sure you know from experience that you know medical doctors in particular thought we were pseudoscience and woo woo, and
Yep.
you got to be kidding me,
Yep.
and now they're coming back to us and saying, okay, what are the mechanisms of action? And when they hear what those are, and it turns out that each of those four energies has a unique mechanism of action that it affects cellular function and improves cellular function. So you really do need the four. It's not like just layering on top of it. And because of that, we're seeing much wider adoption in the medical field.
Great.
We're starting to see, obviously, functional medicine doctors are looking at root cause. A lot of times, the root cause is right in front of them. It's the raw material, that energy that we're missing. So we think that we're just going to see a broadening, a more of an acceptance of energy therapies. From a technology standpoint, because it's software based and we've built out the cloud infrastructure, um, there's some things we're working on that are going to allow. Give you an example. We have about 30 to 40 recipes can reside on a biocharger. And if you want to add another one, you have to go to the cloud and download. But when kind of like the old iPod, everybody thought, 1,000 songs. How would I ever do 1,000 songs? Until you get to 1,001, and then you're like, I can't fit it on there.
Right.
Well, we're kind of bound with that same challenge, and that it's a good thing because we thought if we had 100 recipes, it'd be awesome. Now it's 1,400, so we had to kind of build out a search infrastructure, all of that, which is very simple to operate. But at the end of the day, now we'll be able to stream directly from the cloud. So just like your phone now, when you listen to music,
Yep.
you're not downloading a song, you're actually streaming it directly. And that's what we're working on, is one of the things that will facilitate even better utilization. The second thing is with AI,
Hmm.
our head of development will kill me for even saying this, but
Uh-oh.
when you can go to AI and put in a certain, fill out a short intake form, it looks in the large, what is it, LLM, whatever it is, the large data model. I forget what it is, but essentially the collection of the 1,400 recipes,
Yep.
and it'll pick exactly what frequencies or parts of those recipes to customize on the fly a recipe for your specific condition.
I wondered if you were going to go there, if
Yeah,
AI was going to start creating some new
yeah,
recipes for y'all.
yeah.
That is amazing.
The other thing is we're looking at ways. Everybody loves a way to see a before and after difference,
Yes.
and HRV is a great device and methodology to do that. But most of the wearables don't let you do HRV on demand.
Mhm.
So we've got some devices, that we're buying, so that in our wellness businesses, starting to buy, that allow them to look at literally measure your HRV on demand, do a biocharger session, and then do another scan and look at the difference in real time.
Yes.
We're also looking at technology that actually measures cellular voltage. So
All
how much
right.
better does it get than this? Where come in, let's measure your voltage, let's do a session, and let's do it. So more evidence based, but
Yep.
really just to give people, again, that visual or that representation, that proof that they need to know that it's really doing something.
Yes. Now, how can our viewers find out more about BioCharger and find out more about those recipes?
Sure. Best is to start with biocharger.com,
Okay.
or look at we've got a big Instagram following, and a lot of great material on that. So it's just fun to look at. That's it, BioCharger NG for next generation.
Okay.
Or just reach out to us. We love to talk with our clients. We love to talk with prospective clients. We have a lot of great material. So we're happy to share and answer questions.
Awesome. I highly recommend that you go check out biocharger.com. Check it as Instagram as well, because it looks amazing. Like I said, when you walk by, you're like, I just want to sit in front of it.
Yeah.
It's so inviting. There's nothing like it I've seen in the entire tech wonderland. So thank you guys so much for bringing this not only to the PulseCast, but bringing this to this generation. We need innovators like you, and I'm very thankful that you're here bringing it to this space.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Absolutely. We're providing you that front row seat to the biohacking revolution. So stay connected to the PulseCast, and we'll see you next time.